The first time I nearly died for Ferdinand Magellan, I was clinging to a rock on the coast of Patagonia in the middle of a storm that had decided, personally, to kill me. The Santiago was breaking apart behind me, not slowly in the way ships and stories come apart dramatically with time to reflect. Quickly, the way real things break when the ocean has made up its mind about them. One moment, a ship. Next moment, timber and rope, and the screaming of men in cold water. And between those two moments, almost no time at all. I got to the rock because I'm a strong swimmer, and because the man next to me pushed off my shoulder to get there first, and I'm alive, and he's not. And I've thought about that exchange many times since, without arriving at anything useful. I held the rock. The Santiago finished breaking apart around me, and I thought, this is it. This is where Diego Bermudez ends. On a rock nobody has named, on a coast nobody has mapped, following a man who was not even supposed to be sailing for Spain in the first place. I was wrong. I survived. And then I made the first of the decisions that would define the rest of my life. I got on another ship. My name is Diego Bermudez. I sailed with Ferdinand Magellan on the first circumnavigation of the earth from 1519 to 1522. Magellan left Spain with 5 ships. He lost 4 of them. I was on every single one, every wreck, every abandonment, every moment a ship I was standing on stopped being a ship. 4 times I transferred to another vessel with nothing but what I could carry and the specific gravity of luck that had kept me breathing when the men beside me stopped. I came home, one of the 18 men out of 270 who did. Nobody planned any of this. Nobody planned to go around the world. Nobody planned to lose 4 ships and most of the crew and spend 3 years eating leather and rats in the largest ocean on earth. The plan was spices. It is always something ordinary that starts the extraordinary things. The mission was close, specifically close from the Maluku Islands, what the maps call the Spice Islands, what sailors called the end of the earth. Because in 1519, a pound of cloves was worth more than a year of my wages, and the men who control the spice roads controlled something closer to the whole world than I'm comfortable describing. Portugal controlled the eastern roads, around Africa, across the Indian Ocean. That was theirs, legally, by treaty, by blood. Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese man sailing for Spain, which tells you everything you need to know about his relationship with Portugal, believed there was a western route, through or around the bottom of South America, across whatever ocean waited on the other side, and up to the Spice Islands from the west. Nobody had done it. Nobody knew if it was possible. Nobody knew how wide that ocean was, or what was in it, or whether the bottom of South America had a bottom at all. We were going to find out. 5 ships, 270 men, enough supplies, in theory, for 2 years, in theory. I joined the fleet at Seville in the summer of 1519. I was 31 years old. I had been sailing since I was 14, coastal routes, Mediterranean trade, one voyage down the African coast that had cured me permanently of any romantic ideas about the sea. The sea is not romantic. The sea is work. Wet, cold, exhausting, dangerous work that occasionally kills you and constantly threatens to. I signed on to the fleet because the pay was good and because I had debts in Seville that made leaving Seville advisable. I was assigned to the Santiago, the smallest ship in the fleet, 75 tons, a crew of 31, built for scouting rather than hauling. Our captain was Juan Serrano, a competent man, experienced, the kind of captain who ran a tight ship without making it a miserable one. I had sailed under worse. The 5 ships were the Trinidad, Magellan's flagship, the San Antonio under Juan de Cartagena, the Concepcion under Gaspar de Quesada, the Victoria under Luis de Mendoza, and the Santiago under Serrano. I want you to remember those names. Every one of them matters before this is over. We left Salonca de Barrameda on the 20th of September 1519. The whole town came to watch. People lined in the riverbank as we moved toward the sea, waving, calling out. The children ran along the bank, keeping pace with the ships until the bank ran out. I watched them from the deck of Santiago and thought, some of these people know they will not see us again. The ones who understand what this voyage is, the ones who have done the mathematics of ocean crossing and survival rate, and what it means to sail deliberately off the edge of every chart that exists. They were waving anyway. I've always found that very human. The first months were the ones that trick you. The Atlantic in the right season with the right winds is almost manageable. You fall into the rhythm of it. The watches, the sails, the maintenance, the endless repetitive labor of keeping a wooden ship functional in salt water. You stop thinking about how far you are from land. You think about the next task, the next watch, the next meal. Magellan kept himself apart on the Trinidad. You would see him on deck sometimes, a compact, serious man with a limp from an old battle wound, who moved around the ship with the contained energy of someone in permanent internal calculation. He did not invite familiarity. He did not explain himself. We followed him south along the coast of South America through the late months of 1519 and into 1520, looking for the passage he believed existed, the strait that would take us through to the other side. He had seen a map, supposedly, a map that showed the passage at the bottom of the continent. Nobody else had seen this map. Some men thought he had invented it. When we reached Port St. Julian, we wintered there, on the coast of Patagonia from April to August of 1520. 8 months into the voyage, food already rationed, the southern winter arriving with a cold that had nothing polite about it. And that is where the mutiny happened. 3 of the 5 captains, Cartagena of the San Antonio, Quesada of the Conception, Mendoza of the Victoria, decided they had followed Magellan far enough into the unknown. They wanted to turn back. They took control of their ships by force in the night and sent a message to Magellan on the Trinidad demanding negotiation. Magellan did not negotiate. What happened next was swift and brutal, and I will tell you plainly what it was. He sent a boat to the Victoria with a letter for Mendoza. When Mendoza read the letter and turned to respond, the man who delivered it stabbed him in the throat. Magellan's men boarded the Victoria before the crew could react. The Conception surrendered when they saw the Victoria taken. The San Antonio was retaken by Magellan's loyalists the following morning. Cartagena, the ringleader, was put ashore on that coast, left there, on the edge of Patagonia with another priest who had conspired with him, given minimal supplies and abandoned. We sailed away and left them on the shore. I watched them from the Santiago's deck until I couldn't see them anymore. I have thought about what happened to them. I do not think they survived long. Nobody has ever found a trace. Quesada, the captain of the Conception, was executed, beheaded on the deck of his own ship, and his body drawn and quartered as a message to anyone considering their options. That was Magellan. That was the kind of man we were following to the end of the earth. The Santiago went fast. While the fleet wintered at Port St. Julian, Captain Serrano was sent south to scout the coastline ahead, find a passage, or find evidence of it, or find anything useful in that grey empty coast. We found a storm instead. The Santa Cruz River mouth, May 1520. The weather came in fast, the way southern weather does. No warning, just suddenly the sky is a different color and the sea has changed its mind about its relationship with the surface and everything is moving at once. We tried to run. The Santiago was quick, she was built for this. But quick and small are the same thing in a storm, and the rocks came up before we had room to avoid them. The hull opened. After that, everything happened very fast, and I have already told you what fast means when the ship goes down. I got to the rock. I held on. Around me, 31 men, and water taking its share. We lost 2. The rest of us made it to the shore and walked overland back to Port St. Julian. Weeks of walking along the coast at the bottom of the world, cold and wet, and eating whatever we could find, which was not much. We arrived back at the fleet half dead and redistributed among the remaining ships. I was assigned to the Conception. 4 ships now. I noted this without knowing yet that I was keeping count. We found the strait in October 1520. The passage Magellan had staked everything on. It existed. It was there. A narrow twisting channel through the bottom of the continent. The water dark and cold. The cliffs on either side rising sheer and enormous. Glaciers coming down to the waterline in places. The whole thing shrouded in mist and the kind of permanent grey weather that feels like the sky is making a threat. It took 38 days to navigate it. 38 days of treading 4 ships through a passage that wanted to kill us at every turn. Currents that grabbed the hull and pulled. Winds that came from directions they had not agreed to come from. Water shallow enough in places to see the bottom, which when you are on a ship of this size is not reassuring. But we came through, and on the other side was the ocean. I need to pause here and tell you about the moment we came out of the strait into the ocean on the other side, because it is the most extraordinary thing that I've ever seen, and I've spent 30 years trying to describe it properly, and I've never managed. We came out of the Great Channel, the cliffs falling away on either side, and the ocean opened up in front of us, like, I have no comparison, like nothing, like the world deciding to be larger than you had understood it to be. Flat, impossibly flat after the strait. Calm, the sun on it doing things with light I had not seen before, stretching in every direction without interruption, to a horizon that looked further away than horizons had any business being. Men were crying. Grown sailors, men who had been at sea for decades, standing at the railings, weeping openly. Magellan wept. I saw it from across the water. He stood at the bow of the Trinidad and looked at the ocean and wept, and did not seem to care who saw. He named it the Pacific, the peaceful sea. We did not yet know how wide it was. We did not yet know that it would take us 99 days to cross it. 99 days of open ocean with no land. But before we crossed it, the San Antonio disappeared in the strait. In the confusion of navigating the channel, our new captain, Esteval Gomez, staged a quiet mutiny, took control of the ship, and turned her around, sailed back the way we had come, back to Spain, taking with them most of the fleet's food supplies. 3 ships now, the Trinidad, the Conception, the Victoria. The Pacific opened up in front of us and we sailed into it with 3 ships and diminishing supplies and no reliable information about what was on the other side or how far away it was. 99 days. I wanted to sit with that number for a moment. 99 days of open ocean, no land, no fresh water, except what we carried and then what rain we could collect. No fresh food after the first weeks. We ate the ship. That is not a metaphor. When the food ran out, we ate the leather chaffinger that protected the rigging, soaked in seawater to soften it. We ate sawdust, mixed with whatever was left. We caught rats when we could find them and considered it fortune. A rat was nutrition. A rat was a good day. Men began dying of scurvy, the vitamin deficiency that comes from months without fresh food, the gums blackening, the old ones reopening, the joints swelling until movement became its own kind of torture. 20 men died on that crossing, 20 men who had survived the Atlantic and the mutiny and the strait, gone in the middle of the largest ocean in the world, between one nothing and another. I did not get scurvy. I do not know why. Some men got it and some men didn't, and there was no logic to it that I could find. I was hungry and exhausted and half delirious from the monotony of the horizon, but I did not get scurvy. I have never felt guilty about surviving before. That crossing thought me out. We reached the Philippines in March 1521. Land after 99 days. Land. I will not try to describe what land looks like after 99 days at sea, on starvation rations. I will only say that 3 grown men on my watch wept again and this time nobody thought anything of it. We resupplied, we recovered. The men who could be saved from the scurvy were saved with fresh fruit and fresh water, which is all it takes, which is a cruelty on its own. All it takes after watching men die for the lack of it. Magellan was alive, changed, thinner, quieter. The calculation behind his eyes have taken on a different quality, as though the Pacific had adjusted something in him permanently, but alive. He had done it. The passage was real. The ocean was crossable. He had proved both things. And then he went and got himself killed. In Maritime, a small island in the Philippines, a local chief named Lapu-Lapu, who had declined to submit to Spanish authority and meant it, Magellan decided to make an example of him with a military landing. 60 men against a force of 1,500 in shallow water on an unfamiliar beach. The math was not in our favor. I was on the Conception in the fleet offshore, watching. What I saw was this. The men went in, the resistance was immediate and overwhelming, and very quickly the order of the engagement reversed itself entirely. Our men retreating back toward the water, the defenders pressing in from every side. Magellan died in the water at the edge of that beach, fighting to cover his men's retreat. An arrow in the leg, then a spear, then they were on him. He died facing the shore. I watched it from a ship 300 meters away and could do nothing. The man who had found the passage, who had crossed the Pacific, who had bent 270 men to his will through sheer force of an uncertainty that had turned out to be correct. He died in knee-deep water on a beach that nobody had ever heard of. And the fleet he had led here was now leaderless in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. After Magellan's death, we fell apart. The loss of him was like removing a pin from a structure. Nothing collapsed at once, but things began to shift, and the shifting was in one direction. 27 of the senior crew died in an ambush at a feast, invited as guests, poisoned and stabbed around the table they sat at in good faith. I was not at that feast. I have never decided whether that was luck, or whether someone made a decision about who to include and I was considered too insignificant to bother with. Either way, 27 men who had survived everything the ocean threw at us, gone around a dinner table in the Philippines. After that, there were not enough men to sail the 3 ships. The Conception was stripped of everything useful and burned. I was on the Conception. I watched them move through her with torches, setting fire to everything that would catch. She burned with a smell I did not expect, almost sweet, which seemed wrong, which seemed like the wrong thing for that to smell like. When she went down, she went quietly, the burning oil tipping sideways, water coming in, and fire going out, and then she was gone, and there was just smoke above the surface for a while, and then, not even that. 2 ships now. The Trinidad attempted to sail east, back across the Pacific. I will tell you now that the Trinidad did not make it. She was captured by the Portuguese and her crew imprisoned. The men who sailed east that day spent years in Portuguese captivity. Some of them never came home. I transferred to the Victoria and we sailed west. 5 more months of ocean, the Indian Ocean, around the Cape of Good Hope, up the African coast. The Victoria had been at sea for 3 years by this point, and it showed in every plank and seam. The pumps ran constantly to keep up with the water coming in through the hull, and the pumps required men, and there were fewer and fewer men. We stopped at the Cape Verde Islands, Portuguese territory, because we had no other choice. We knew the risk. The Portuguese detained 13 of our men during the resupply run. We left without them. I watched from the deck as the boats came back with fewer men that had gone in, and the anchor was raised, and we sailed out of the harbor. There is a version of this that is called necessary sacrifice, the mission above the individual. I have never been able to find that version. We reached Saluca de Barrameda on the 6th of September, 1522. 3 years, almost exactly. We had left with 5 ships and 270 men. We came back with 1 ship and 18 men. 18. The Victoria sailed into the harbor with her crew of 18 barely able to walk the sails, thin and wrecked, and in the rags of clothes 3 years old, the same harbor we had left from, the same town. Some of the same people, probably, who had lined the banks and waved. I stood on the deck as we came in and looked at the riverbank. I could not see clearly enough to know if anyone was waving. They called it the first circumnavigation of the earth. Magellan gets the credit, his name on the voyage, his vision, his determination that the passage existed and that the ocean was crossable and that the Spice Islands could be reached from the west. He was not wrong about any of it. He was also dead before he could see that he was right. The man who completed the voyage, who brought the Victoria home, who navigated around Africa and up to Spain, was a Basque sailor named Juan Sebastián Elcano. He received a coat of arms from the king. The motto on it read, "Primus circumvediste me." You were the first to circumnavigate me, the earth speaking. Elcano died on the Second Pacific Expedition 6 years later. The sea takes everyone eventually. It just took him a little longer than the others. I went back to Seville. I paid my debts, which were still there, patient as creditors always are. I found that I could not sleep in a bed for the first month. 3 years in a hammock on a moving ship, and the stationary bed felt wrong in a way I could not explain to anyone who had not experienced it. I slept on the floor for a while. That was better. People asked me what it was like. I never found an answer that fit into the normal conversation. You cannot explain 99 days of ocean to someone who has never lost sight of land. You cannot explain scurvy or the sound of a burning ship, or what it is to sail away from 13 men you are living in a Portuguese harbor and not to look back, because looking back does not help anything. You can say, we went around the world, and they nod, and they do not understand, and that is not their fault. 4 ships, the Santiago, rocks on the Patagonian coast, the storm that came without warning, the hull opening on the rocks of the Santa Cruz River mouth, the San Antonio, turned around into strait and sailed on without us, taking the food with her. The Conception, stripped and burned in the Philippine Bay because there weren't enough men left to sail her. The Trinidad, captured trying to cross the Pacific alone, a crew imprisoned for years. I was on all of them when they were lost. I transferred to the next one each time with my sea chest and my specific gravity of luck and got back to work. I did not know I was doing something remarkable. I was doing the only thing available to me, which was continuing. 18 men out of 270. I was one of them. I have lived the rest of my life trying to be worth that. I'm not sure I have managed it, but I'm still trying. My name is Diego Bermudez. I sailed on every ship Magellan lost, and I was there for all of it, and I came home.